Hello, I'm Davia Brown.
I'm Brandon Lyles.
And I'm Stacy Loveland, and we're excited to have you join us for Colonial Williamsburg's CW Kids Ask,
where we dive deep into history.
Together, we'll explore 18th century life and connect it to present-day experiences.
We'll look at everything, from fashion to science,
and economy to archaeology. We'll take a closer look at our past and present.
Join us each month on our live streams and submit your own questions.
Or watch past episodes and start your own conversations.
The past has something for everyone.
Welcome, viewers, and thank you for joining us for our Giving Tuesday live stream focused on pursuing a more perfect union. I'm Earl Granger. I am the Chief Development Officer here at the Colonial Williamsburg Foundation. I am so excited that you are with us this evening, and we have two of my colleagues here from the Foundation who are joining me, who I'll introduce in a moment. I'd first like to express appreciation for two very generous donors who have generously given $1.2 million in support of our Giving Tuesday initiative. These donors have tirelessly committed resources and time to Colonial Williamsburg to help us advance the mission of this great organization. As we think about Giving Tuesday, it really gives us an opportunity to think about investment. It gives us an opportunity to really think about preservation. It really gives us an opportunity to think about education, and it also gives us an opportunity to think about civic engagement. And as part of this work, we are engaging in conversations about what it means to be Americans by examining our past and considering its implications for our present and future. So today, we have the Foundation's president, Cliff Fleet, as well as Beth Kelly, who is the Vice President for Education, Research, and Historic Interpretation. Cliff, I'm going to turn it over to you just to offer some comments.
Thank you, Earl. And let me begin by echoing Earl's comments and thanking you for not only your interest in Colonial Williamsburg, but your support for us over many years. We could not do this work without the terrific and wonderful and heartwarming support of our donors, and we are very grateful that you enable us to do what we love. And what we love, of course, is to tell the founding story of our country. A big piece of that story, and in fact a critical piece of that story, is civics, which we define as making sure that people understand the rights and the responsibilities as American citizens. And as we have seen over the past few years, we are in sore need, I think, of recentering and reminding people about what it means to be an American, how our structures and governments were formed, and what it means for us as citizens about how we need to interact to preserve and protect our very precious American democracy. What makes it unique and I think special for Colonial Williamsburg to play an important role here is that so much of what happened to create our government occurred here, right here on the streets of Williamsburg. It was here where many of the ideas, formulations, documents, and debates happened that created our unique and precious form of American government, which today is the world's oldest and longest standing constitutional democracy. We therefore must remind ourselves of that heritage and that history, because in understanding it, it will best protect our future as American citizens. And we'll have more to talk about that as we go through our question and answer session. So before we get to that, though, I want to turn it over to Beth Kelly, who leads our education group here, and she can have a few comments. Beth?
Thank you, Cliff and Earl. I think one of the unique things that we have here at Colonial Williamsburg is the opportunity to have civil conversations with one another about our constitutional democracy. And so many of you have been guests here on site, and you've participated in those conversations or you've generated them. You'll find that costumed interpreters have this disarming way of presenting the past and inviting you into the conversation and then engaging in what was the past, but suddenly we're talking about the present. And that really is our mission here at Colonial Williamsburg, to give people a place to understand the present better by looking at the past and understanding the roots of where we were and how we are and how we became who we are today as Americans. We found over the last couple of years that to impact even further, we've begun a new series called Us, Past, Present, Future, which was an opportunity for us to have these kinds of conversations online and to present panelists and to look at different topics. And what we were finding in that is that the participants who were asking questions of our panelists online were talking to each other. And that's exactly what we had hoped to create. So we have this very unique opportunity to explore our democracy, to explore the roots of our democracy with one another as Americans, to listen to different perspectives and to understand better how we can build the future closer towards a more perfect union. But thank you all for being here, and I guess we have some questions to answer.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you both. The first question, what is the status of the teaching of civics in the United States, and how is Colonial Williamsburg positioned to fill any voids that may exist?
Well, maybe let me offer a few comments, and then Beth, you can jump in and
Sure.
add some color to that. I think as we think about the status of civics education, we have certainly seen I think a decline in the amount of civics, either through history or government, that is being taught, certainly at the elementary and secondary school levels here in the United States, which actually, I believe, presents us with, I'll be honest, an issue that we really have to address as an institution. My son was back from college over the weekend, and he is probably going to be a government major, and he did a research project or paper on what makes a democracy work. What are the factors in a society that make a democracy work? And he went out and did, of course, all the literature, research, and things. And there were actually two things that came back that academics have pointed to. The number one factor was education. Is the citizenry educated and grounded in terms of the structures and forms of government? And the second was a free enterprise system to make democracy work. And what makes, I think, us unique is that we talk about both of those things. We talk about democracy, we talk about its formation, we talk about civics, we talk about how our government was formed. But we also, because of the incredible investment we've made in the trades, we talk about capitalism and free enterprise and how that shaped and formed our nation. And of course, both of those characteristics have made this great nation that we live in today. As we look forward, though, the question is how do we reach more people and how do we fill that void? And we think about it from a number of different perspectives. The first is, of course, visitors who come here. We want to touch them with our on-site programming, whether it's with an interpreter or a trade or other program that they may participate in. Another way we do it is through our Teachers Institute, which has a great magnification impact because if you train a teacher, you can reach 20 or so students as a result of training that one teacher. And so we can literally reach hundreds of thousands of students over a couple of year period, which presents a very, very powerful tool for us to help deliver tools to teachers that can help them advance teaching civics. And the third, which is an area of focus and investment, particularly as we approach 2026, is how do we greatly expand our digital outreach and our digital programming to reach new audiences that we have not been able to touch in the past and make a real difference, I think, in our American democracy. So I don't know, Beth, if you have anything you want to add to that.
I don't have a darn thing to add. That was brilliant.
Very thorough.
Very thorough.
And thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thoughtful.
We've spent a little bit of time thinking about this.
The next question, does Colonial Williamsburg partner with other nationally relevant organizations to collaborate or host conversations around these pretty broad topics?
But you want to start with this one and then I'll...
Yeah, and oh, sure, be glad to.
Yeah.
So yes, we do, and we are even just locally. We're partnering with William and Mary and partnering with the Omohundro Institute to host a conference coming up in 2022. We're working with like-minded institutions to make sure that we're all elevating the role of civics within education, so that we're all lifting that up. A lot of educators are looking to cultural institutions for this information because it is not provided in the school system. So they're looking to museums and living history museums for that. We ourselves at Colonial Williamsburg are partnering with iCivics, which was founded to help promote and help educate students on the democracy and various aspects of civic education. So we're looking to develop some programming with them. So there's quite a few opportunities and quite a few ways that we're working with other like-minded institutions.
Yeah, we just had a board meeting finish right before Thanksgiving, and one of the things we deeply talked about at that meeting was the importance of collaboration with like-minded institutions. For us to achieve our aspirations, to shape the dialogue and the discourse in the United States over the coming years as we approach 2026, we recognize that we have to work with other institutions to magnify our impact, leverage the unique skills and strengths of institutions to make sure that we are focused on the common good. Because we're not competing with each other, we need to complement each other as we do this work.
Thank you. All right. What is Colonial Williamsburg's role in commemorating the 250th anniversary of the nation in 2026?
We have I think a very important role to play as we lead up to that very important national anniversary. First of all, it is, of course, the nation's 250th anniversary of our founding, and we have to recognize that there are, of the, quote, three cradles of democracy, Williamsburg, Boston, and Philadelphia, much of the thinking and much of what happened occurred here in Williamsburg, which was the capital of the largest and most important colony at the time of the American Revolution. Without Virginia, there would have been no revolution. And much of the thinking, leadership, and support, both financially and otherwise, for it occurred actually through the city of Williamsburg. We also have an incredible platform in that we have an entire restored city of what Williamsburg looked like at that time, and it is populated with hundreds of people who bring that city to life. So we are able to tell the story with a richness and a depth that other places, quite frankly, cannot. Because over half of this city was black, with the majority of that population being enslaved, we can also tell it with a greater depth and complexity than other cities, because it was here that you had both the wonderful triumphs and also the manifestations of the tragedies and the paradoxes at play as we went through that American Revolution. Because we're also anchored with William and Mary, which is the home of the nation's leading early American history programs, you have a greater density here of people who are interested in this and a greater depth and ability to tell the story, which is why we're so excited to partner with them to make sure that Williamsburg becomes the intellectual center as we approach 2026, which actually fulfills the wishes and the desires of the Rockefeller family, who originally, of course, completed the restoration of Colonial Williamsburg.
Again, very thoughtful.
Very thoughtful.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Are there comments or are there things that you would want our friends who are watching us live to also think about relative to Colonial Williamsburg as we think about the work that we're engaged in? Any general comments?
I think I have been associated with Colonial Williamsburg for most of my life, and obviously been closely associated for the past 2 years as we've gone through the pandemic. And what always impresses me about Colonial Williamsburg is the incredible love that people have for this institution, whether it's the people that work here or the people who give their money to support our important work. It really is quite heartwarming and quite humbling to think about the people and the commitment that they have to this incredible institution. And that has been particularly true as we have gone through the pandemic over the past 2 years, when we have really needed the support of people, and it has been absolutely humbling to see that support manifest itself. As we think about our future and our future plans, and they're quite exciting over the next few years, the support that people have stepped forward to help us with that work, whether it's First Baptist or the Bray School, Powder Magazine, us past, present, and future. Whenever we have come up with ideas, there have been donors there that have been enthusiastic and willing to support them. And so I can't thank donors enough for what they do to help us with our work.
Again, very thoughtful. I think just to build on that, philanthropy really does allow us to bring some of the best ideas to life. And while we are very fortunate to have a 90,000 member donor community who walks with us, partners with us, it's not lost on us that there are stories behind those investments. People are stepping in, stepping up, because they want to be sure that this national treasure continues to advance the work and have a better understanding of what it means to be an American, the greatness of what that means, and as Cliff mentioned earlier, the complexities of what that has also meant. And we owe it to our public as an educational resource, as a living museum. We want to be sure that all narratives are in fact shared, better understood, better appreciated, but also allowing those narratives to inform our future so that in fact we can work towards this more perfect union. And so again, I really want to thank everyone. This is Giving Tuesday. I want to thank everyone again who has already stepped in, stepped up to contribute. Would also encourage those that have not to really consider a gift to Colonial Williamsburg today in particular, but quite honestly, any day. We would be grateful for your support. But really share with your friends about the opportunity that is present today, since we have donors who have stepped up, who are providing this matching gift opportunity. I just got some numbers a bit ago. We have raised close to $175,000 to date, but we still have a number of hours to go. And so we look forward to those numbers continuing to climb. Every gift made to Colonial Williamsburg Fund today is doubled. And so with additional funding directed to the Powder Magazine restoration as well as the First Baptist Church project. So again, thank you for tuning in this afternoon, and we bid you all farewell. Have a great day.